This Thanksgiving week, we have a ton of people to be thankful for, a ton of things that this van, when we bought the van, it was a completely unfinished, just complete bare bones delivery van. And so we began to try and figure out all the different things we wanted to do with our build. And really, we've just finished up within the last month with the things that we want to accomplish with our build. But it all started over in Noak Van Company over in Roanoke, Virginia. We had bought these windows direct out of California. I wish we would have known some other things, but we'll get to that in a moment. But we bought the windows, took them to that company. They installed this window and also the window on the opposite side. And so have two beautiful windows. Breno definitely wanted those. Was the first things we did. We asked them to put in some fans too, and so they put in this fan here and those two in the very back, and they're all DC. So you turn them on. This one, it brings the air in. Those two exhaust out. And we'll talk about some other things with the exhaust stuff here in a minute. But also, Noak Van did the swivels on both seats. And so this is great. This seat swivels. You can do that without opening the door. I just did it because it's easier. So does the driver's seat. And that's a part of what we decided to do here at Board Van Adventures with our drive and with our setup for the build. You can see that the bed and the back sections with all the cabinets, that's from Vantopia out in California. Robert was extremely helpful to us in trying to figure out what we wanted to do. They have full builds. They have many other things you can add in the front, but we didn't know what we wanted to do. At first, we wanted to do the dinette in the back. That was a beautiful setup they had. But what we ended up thinking was that that wasn't going to work for us because of the need for storage. And we'll show you that with the garage section here in just a little bit. But after the point of getting to have the windows installed, which we didn't feel like we could do ourselves while we were over there, we had the swivels put on. We then began to search, and I found in West Virginia, there was a company I didn't even know was there. And as I said, and as I've noted numerous times, I wish I would have known they were there because they have some awesome windows. And they're now known as Energy Vans, ENRG. And it's over there at the New River Gorge, right in Fayetteville, West Virginia. Beautiful setup over there. They have some amazing, if we had it to do over, we wouldn't have bought the windows direct. We would have had them put in these amazing windows that so many different features in them. But that's all water under the bridge, so to speak. And so we got into having this all built out. When we got to, we were building out the back on our own. And when we came to the ceiling, we knew we weren't going to be able to do that. And so we just went over there, and Mike and the guys at Energy Vans set us up royally, man. They got this all set up here. They also put in the Max Air fan for us. They have a little wire going up there by the bed, just on the left-hand side there in the wall that's sticking out of the wall. That's going to be the wiring for our gas furnace, which is going to go under this seat that I'm sitting on, the passenger seat. That's been ordered, and hopefully we'll get that in right now because, as you can tell, it's getting pretty cold here in West Virginia. But they also did all of the electrical for us. I'll show you what I have in the back. I have the EcoFlow system, and they set that all up, did all the wiring, these lights in here, just so many different things that were wonderful and that we were so appreciative of because it really made things a lot easier. They also finished off these switches and put this here in the build, put this on with the build. As I said, the ceiling, and also they finished off this area up here for us. So they were a great help to us. We wanted it to look good, and we didn't want to mess that up at all. So we said we wanted to have a dinette, and that's one of the reasons we were going to go with the Vantopia dinette in the back. But again, we knew we needed a storage. We have myself, my wife, my daughter Kaylee, my daughter Emily, who is married, and her husband Sam all go with us on trips. As a matter of fact, We went all as far as Death Valley, from West Virginia to Death Valley in this van. We were doing the Mighty Five in Utah, had that great, awesome opportunity to hike Angels Landing at Zion, and we all made it, so we were so excited. The van got us out there, got us back, and we stopped off in Las Vegas. My son-in-law, they got things mixed up, and he had to go to the Grateful Dead concert, so we were like, well, we'll just make a trip out of it. We'll drop him off there, we'll go on over to Death Valley, come back and pick him up, and that's what we did. And so at that time, though, we were kind of living dangerous because we had a couch that folded out into a bed for that build. We did not have these seats at that time. But I had looked at these seats from the very beginning of our build. I had looked at these seats. These are called Friedman. And I thought how perfect this would be. And we had even talked about the idea of, if we did this, we'd like to have one that was facing forward, one facing backwards, and have a dinette here. But because we weren't able to, I mean, they were like $2,800 at the cheapest that I could find, and they weren't even available. They didn't have them in stock. We had a number of months out, and it said like 8 months, 6 months before you could get the build. I was looking at different van companies and all these other ones that build that, but I thought these would be great if we could ever get them. Well, I won't tell you how, but someone contacted me or I saw something on eBay, and needless to say, I couldn't pass up the opportunity to pick up these two seats that were brand new, taken out of a bus. They're, again, these Friedman seats, taken out of a bus because that bus company wants to be able to have their room for handicap and for wheelchairs. So they have a guy take these seats out, and then he has them to be able to sell. And so, what a great thing that was. I just took the time to check into that, and we were able to pick up those seats. Didn't have shipping or anything else. But I'm sure that you've seen these, but I'll show you just a little bit of how, if you can lock them in place like that so they don't come down while they're in this position. But you just take that, fold it down, and then you take this, you fold it up, make certain that this is out of the way. Fold that up, and it only goes back so far. But as you can see, what safety now. We've got the great 3-point seat belts, and of course this side does the same thing, but I'll show you what it looks like with everything fully down. And so we're just so extremely blessed to have this. Now, as I said, both of these seats fold around, they turn, both of them swivel. And so we have a table, a long table that's just the right height, and we can all sit in here and be able to eat or play cards if it's cold or anything like that. So it's a great setup. My wife does all of her nifty stuff with all of the decorations. She always makes it look amazing. She found these particular cabinets at IKEA, and we just store different stuff, shoes, towels, all these different things right in here. Nice place for our collapsible coffee cups. As you can see in here, these cabinets, you can look and you can see, have the stuff for the Jetboil, the coffee, first aid kit. Gotta have the first aid kit for the grand dog, little Willow. She's pretty special, so we do that. And then you can see my side here. I can get more room, but I don't have to. And so we were looking at different things too, but with the seats folded up, as you saw, we're able now. I was going to spend the money and have to put a receiver hitch on the back, and then not only the receiver hitch, but then get something to hold the bikes. And we didn't want people to be able to mess with the bikes while they were outside and we would go in somewhere. And so now with this build, if it's just Brenna and myself, when we would only take the bikes anyways, we can fold up these seats, have them out of the way, and the bikes can sit right in here. Not a problem at all. So let's go around and look here just at a moment. And I'm sure I'm going to miss a lot of different things. But I did see on the internet that advertisement for this little thing here. I can't remember what you call it, but it holds the, I had trouble with the van door wanting to close if it was on an incline. So I'll shut that, and you can see this little thing here. They're all over the place on the internet, so you can see them, but it does hold it there very nicely. You have only them part of a way to worry about that. And then you come around the back, And you can see that we thought about putting the different Flatline Van Company. I have the rack up there. We thought about putting some of the things that fit on the outside of the door, but then we knew that we would lose this feature that we have with these doors where they swing all the way open. So we thought, and we were trying to figure out what could we get to be able to store some things here on the door. And I only have a few things stored now. We put more there when we go on our trips, shoes and things like that. But we're thinking about different things, and I was trying to come up with something. And my wife said, well, what about bungees? And so, of course, we did that. And this setup is just great. Here is the Julka system, and that's where the shower mounts. So whenever we need to take a shower, this is the Fireside Outdoor pop-up fire pit. You've seen some of the guys that do van dwelling videos using this. This is a great thing. We have the rack that you can cook on with that. And so then this particular build by Vantopia, it is something that you can raise and lower. So if you want to go for the night, you just lower it down. And there's one more level there. I'll try and get it. Goes down. As you can see, I've got my EcoFlow light tucked away up there, so that all works just fine. Put that back up so we can see better under here. And then we had a lot of these things from our old van. We had the 99 Ford. If you watch Board Van Adventures, you know all about that. But whenever you look at this, we had, this was something that I often say, you've got the netting van custom builds, and Greg and Dawn helped me out putting this in, this slide for this refrigerator. That makes that a lot easier to get in and out. They also, I found this very cheap when it was on sale. It actually goes in usually an RV, and you kind of go cross sideways and slide it out. But this makes everything accessible for us. We already had these boxes in that system, but man, are the kids happy now whenever we go on a trip, because every other time when we had the other van, I'd be trying to put the seat up and pack everything, and they'd always be frustrated with me because I was trying to find some configuration where it worked just well. Well, this works great, makes it easy. These can stay on here until I actually need them, or we can pull them off. But as you see, slap, 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 you put them right back on, and everything's just great. As I said, here's that EcoFlow light right there. I've got the recovery boards that I bought, just picked them up for extremely cheap, and we're going to hopefully mount them on the sides. Whether I'll ever need recovery boards or not, I don't know, but for like $40, I couldn't pass them up. They were in this place where you go in and they get Amazon pallets and all this kind of stuff, so we got a great deal on that. You can see as well that I have the EcoFlow system, and these are the I guess Delta Pros, I think they're called, but they are awesome. I got 7,200 watts. They're available to me. I do have solar up on top, and we'll go up there in a minute and show you that. But before we do that, I want to come back around here just to the side again and mention this. This was an amazing situation. I found these seats, and then if you've dealt at all with trying to mount seats in a Ford Transit, you're like, how are we going to do this? Well, that's where Don Netting, he's a brother in Christ. He's a member of the Church of Christ over in Duffy, and Greg was there some too, but Don, amazing what he comes up with. He's done all kinds of things with race cars and fabricated all kinds of things. Well, he actually built this thing. He welded it together to where it was kind of like a U shape, to where we would stick the one part underneath and it would come up like this, and then there was an arm that came in here, and we would go in with that arm, we'd push it into where we wanted it, we would go in with that arm, and we would put the pin down where we wanted to mount the seat, and then from underneath you could push the pin up and you could see exactly where it was going to hit. Saved us from drilling into some areas that could have been bad situations. Again, Don is amazing with his knowledge, and so we thank them. They travel a lot with their camper and do a lot of traveling, so we have a lot of fun talking about van travel, RV travel, and all those type of things. and he's just been a huge help, as he was with what I'll be showing you here in just a minute. I'll come over here and I'll climb up some, and then I'll take the phone off of my daughter who's helping me out. But you can see Flatline Van Company, got the ladder, got the rack, and then when I got here, this is where Don and Greg came in great as well, because I wanted to have solar up here, but I also wanted to be able to have my big camp, the tent camp. It's a C6. It's hanging in there in the garage on the back door. You can't see it, but I've got 200 watts of solar up here, and that keeps my system charged for a good bit. I mean, really, when we're traveling. And then I was looking at the Flatline Van Company deck that you could buy. And if you've looked at those, you know that they're, approximately $4,000 to $5,000. But see, I needed this back space for my rooftop tent that I have. That C6 outdoor company. That's Rev tent that they have. It's awesome. It's very comfortable. And so I really wanted to have that. And so what we ended up doing was I was looking to buy that, trying to figure out what could I use instead of that. And had an elder in the church here in Steelton, West Virginia, Merle Masters. He said, I got something I think that you could use. My son-in-law has it, and you could probably buy it off of him. So I went down and I looked at what he had, and it wasn't going to be quite as good as I thought it could be, but it was going to be something that would probably work. And so I was kind of happy. But then his son-in-law, Mark, said, well, he wasn't really wanting to just sell that. He was wanting to sell it as a whole because it could work as decking for somebody for an RV. But he says, but I do have these other panels stacked behind my house. And he said, you can have those for free. And so I thought, well, $4,000 or $5,000 or free. Let me see if I can make this work. And so I worked and came up with this system here that enables me to get up on here, to be able to store things up here when we travel as well, to be able to put the tent up here and to utilize it. And it's just amazing for us. I'm certain there's a lot of other things that we need to think about. Handing that back down to my daughter. A lot of things that I could add that we've done that I don't even remember. But thus far, you can remember Board Van Adventures in a year's time. We've come a long way. We miss that old 99 van. That got us all over the place, as you can watch in other videos. But this one also is going to be a great blessing to us. And we're going to have a great time enjoying traveling and seeing the United States, and perhaps even up into Canada. And one day we'd like to go all the way up into Alaska, but we'll see as the time goes. But for now, Board Van Adventures, we're out.